So guys, if you want to get the Lightroom for beta, all you have to do is go to this website, labs.adobe.com/technology/Lightroom 4. I'll link it in the video, of course. All you have to do is, you have a lot of information here if you want to read it. I did, and then just hit download Lightroom 4 beta. You'll get the sign-in module right here. If you already have an account, you just need to sign in. If no, create a new Adobe account. If you don't want to do this, I'll surely zip the setup file and put it on my Mediafire server and give you guys the link as well. So this is the new icon, Lightroom 4 beta. As you can see, it's not gray like the Lightroom 3, but black. Let's click enter, and here we are. Okay, first of all, you see everything is very similar, no big changes to the visuals. So library, develop, have the new map module right here. Let's just let it load, and the new book module as well. Let's see if it doesn't take too much time. It's a bit slow because I'm recording the screen, of course. The slideshow module, the print, and the web. I'm not going to open all of them because it'll take a lot of time. Right here, everything is basically the same. No big changes. You have new tabs for the new modules, of course. Let's get right into it and import some sample shots I got here to show you guys the capabilities of the of Lightroom 4. So let's just go right here to desktop, and it's new test. As you can see, a bunch of different images for us to play around with. Okay, here we go. Let's go to the develop module, and here we are with the first image. Here it is. So first of all, the first thing you notice, everything is basically the same. Your histogram is a bit different now. It's divided in 5 sections, as you can see: blacks, shadows, exposure, highlights, and whites. Down here, the temperature and tint are basically the same. One thing you'll notice up the back is all the values are at 0. If you remember from Lightroom 3 and 2, I think it did also the same thing. Some of the values weren't at 0. For example, contrast was at 35, and you also had brightness that was at 50, for example. Now all of them are at 0, so it's very easy for you to go back and see how the image was before you made any big changes to it. So before we get into editing, let's see if it's there anything different. Okay, the tone curve is exactly the same. As you can see, you can still move it here or with the sliders. You still have the hue, saturation, and luminance box, as well as the black and white. Split toning, I never used it. I'm not going to use it now. Sharpening, everything is basically the same, no big changes. Lens correction, you still have the profile corrections enabled, but you have a new thing that's remove chromatic aberration. You don't even need to enable the profile corrections of the lens. So this is very handy because sometimes you just wanted to correct the chromatic aberration and you have to get the profile on, and sometimes you didn't want that. So basically they divided these two things for it to be easier for us to use the chromatic aberration and all the other options. So that's very good. Here down in effects and camera calibration, I rarely use this, but if you have some files that you edited before and they're still active, you can simply go here and choose the preset of the editing you want to keep. I made a new copy of these because this is a beta program. I advise you guys to do the same. Create a new copy of your original file and use that to test out Lightroom, because it's a beta program. It still has a lot of bugs, and for you to be sure you don't get your files ruined or something like that, just make a copy file and use that one to test out the program. So to start off, I'm not sure if I'm going to use this image. Well, maybe we can use this image because we have some shadows over here and we have a lot of highlights over here. So let's test out the new sliders and see what we can do with them. Let's see here on the highlights slider, for example. Let's see what we can do. And it really brought back a lot of the sky. As you can see, let's put it back to 0 so you guys can see. Yeah, because the blue wasn't that strong, and there's still a bit of highlights over here, I think, as well. Let's see. Yeah, exactly. So this rock is looking very, very good. I don't like the sky that much, but it did recover a lot of information, so that's very, very good for the highlights slider. Let's try the shadows now, and wow. As you can see, one of the most important things they said they were going to do was, with these two sliders, they only affect the shadows and the highlights. Nothing else is changed. If you bring this back, only the shadow part gets darker, everything else stays the same, and if you push it up, exactly the same. So there's one thing I noticed: it's much easier to get an HDR image now with only using the shadows and highlight sliders. So that will probably help out some of you guys that like to do HDR images. And now let's try the whites. Okay, so the effect isn't the same. This really gets all the whites and pushes them or makes them softer, so it's not the same thing as the highlights or shadow, so it's a bit different. Let's see about the blacks. Yeah, this affects all of your image, whether the shadows and highlights doesn't, so this is very good. The whites and blacks will probably be very good for giving contrast to your image or creating some black and white images. Probably this will be very good if you want to get some whites, or maybe not so much. Bring the whites down and bring the blacks, and then you can just go here at highlights and push them a bit. So you have a lot of options now to create black and white images with just these 4 sliders. Yeah, that's really great to be able to control everything very easily and still get a lot of information everywhere. Let's try the clarity filter. Whoa, the clarity slider is very sensitive now. Yeah, it's very sensitive. As you can see, it really pops out a lot. It gives it that look. I don't remember the name, but it's used by a street photographer, and he really makes people pop out in the middle of the city. The portraits are very good, but you see a lot of editing there, and this really makes it pop out. Yeah, this goes into the same language that the HDR images get, with that little extra pop. This will really help you out to make those images look better. So now let's go to another image to see what we can do with this little tool that is the precise editing brush or something like that. As you can see, there's a lot of new features right here. Before you can change the temperature or the tint, and you still have some new options right here to reduce or enhance the noise or moire. that I don't know what this does. So you can still change the size of your brush, of course, and let's try something like getting some of these shadows back. Let's try to push the no, let's leave the exposure at 0 so we can actually see what the shadow slider can do. Let's push it up real high so we can see the difference, and let's push this to give a little more warm feeling. And okay, let's go with this and see what we can do. Sorry if this is a bit slow to actually show what I'm doing, because I'm capturing the screen and that really slows down my computer. Let's wait a little bit and see what we can do. Let's bring the exposure a bit up just to see if we have a big difference. Okay, so now we're starting to see, as it was before, lots of dark places, and now a lot less. Let's try to give this a little bit more. So basically this could be the flow of my my brush that was very low. Maybe that was why it wasn't. Yeah, exactly. So as you can see, you can get a lot of detail back with just that little shadow slider. Let's see something else. Let's try, and oh, this is very slow. Okay, let's close this. Let's zoom in right here, because I'm sure we'll have a lot of noise because we recovered a lot of information with the shadows filter slider. I'm sorry. So let's just click right here so we can edit the mask we did. And now let's try to get out of my face. Oh yeah, that's a big difference. This is one of the additions they made, so you can control the amount of noise you get when you're using this brush. And as you can see, this is the the recovered image, and if you bump up this, all the noise you got is gone. So this little addition is very important when you're using the shadows or the highlights sliders. This will really help out for your image to get more detail but still be clean and don't have a lot of noise. So that's very good. Let's just test out and see what this moire is. I'm not seeing any differences at all. Okay, let's leave it. Oh, I kind of saw something now. No, maybe. Okay, so basically I think this, I'm not sure what this does, so let's move on. And if any of you guys know what that does, please comment down below and tell me, in my ignorance, and tell me what that actually does. So I have some more images right here. Let's go to this one because we have a lot of shadows and a lot of dark places here. Let's see what we can do with the shadow slider. Let's see if we can. Wow, look at that. Look at that. That's working very good. Look at that. Very nice. So we're up to 1600 ISO. Let's go down here to our noise reduction and see how does it behave. Okay, not bad, yeah, it's looking very good. It still recovers a lot of noise, and it keeps the image sharp. It doesn't soften it too much, but if it does soften, you can just go here and give it some clarity, and there you go. The image pops out immediately, and as you can see, very low noise, still a lot of definition, and that's looking very good actually. So let's try and use this image to see all the highlights and the shadows. Wow, look at that. Look at that difference. You can see that you can't really tell the texture that was on this wall. It's decaying a little bit, but if you really put the highlights down, look at that. You get a lot of color back and you get a lot of information up in here. Look at this. It's looking very, very good. This little slider is a miracle maker. It really brings out a lot of the hidden details we had over here. Let's see about the shadow filter. We don't have a lot of shadows here, but let's try to bring them in. Wow, that's really working out great. And if you're more of the HDR type, you can just push the highlights from one side and push the shadows to the other side, and you get that really flat HDR look. So let's try to do this with these sliders. It gets different. Yeah, it's very different because the highlight one tries to recover the amount of information you have here, and the white one only brings the whites down. It doesn't give you more information or anything like that. Big difference, as you can see, is that the light here is still the same, but when you do it with the whites, it only brings the highlights down and the image gets more gray. So basically it flattens the image with this one, and basically this is your new recovery. Yeah, basically that's it, and it gives you a lot of detail. That's amazing. This slider is it's going to be very helpful in these images right here up ahead, and I'll show you why. Usually when I'm doing interior photography, I try to balance out the light I have outside with the light I have inside. And most of the times when the sun is very, very strong, I get a lot of this white skies because I have to control my exposure. So let's try and use this precise brush to see if we go here at the highlights slider and see if we can get some of the information we have here back. And off the bat, look at that. Just one little brush and we already got a blue sky. That's amazing. Look at that. We went from nothing, just a white overexposed sky, to a nice blue sky. And if you really want to get that extra pop, just go here in saturation and bring those blues up a little bit, and there you go. There's one thing you're noticing right now, maybe because of the editing and the lens, you have a lot of chromatic aberrations right here. So let's try out the chromatic aberration option right down here in lens corrections. Let's go and click it and see what happens. And there you go, no more chromatic aberration. That's a big difference. I'm going to show you guys again without the chromatic aberration and with the little option. Look at that, that's a big difference. You can clearly see a lot of the reds and the greens right here, and when you click on this little box, magic happens and no more chromatic aberration. That's very good. That's another very useful option. And as you can see, it's a big difference between having a white sky over there with no information than having some clouds and a blue sky up here. It really gives the image a more tranquil and pleasant view. So these two images I have right here were two images I used to make an HDR shot. So I brought these two in just to test out and see how much detail can the shadows and the highlights slider give me. So let's go in and get those shadows gone. And wow, look at that. Look at that. I went from having almost no information to having a lot of information. That's amazing. That's almost the HDR image I got from 3 exposure shots I took. So this is looking so, and if you really like the HDR look, you just need to bump up your clarity, and there you go. Look at that. with one single raw file, you can actually get some HDR shots. That's amazing. That's very, very good. You have a lot of noise down here, but you can simply go up down here and go up your noise reduction, and bam, there you go. There you go, looking great. Maybe a little bit too much. Let's see, half. Yeah, that's much better. And there you go. That's looking very, very good. The shadows really went bye-bye. And now let's try it with this image. This was exposed for this area, and of course the sky just went completely out. So let's go to our highlights slider and go all the way down. And wow, look at that. You got a lot of information back. A lot of information back, especially on the clouds and on the blues up ahead. Look at that. This is the original shot, and this is with the slider right down there. You start to get that little halo that I hate, but I'm not going to use an image like this. So if you're just trying to recover some of it, let's try and use the white slider as well. And as you can see, a lot of blues right here. You recovered a lot of the clouds you have around here, so that's very good. Let's try and get the highlights. Yeah, so the highlights is your new recovery, and it works great. Look at that. Look at the amount of information we got back with just two sliders. Let's just bring this back so you guys can see the original image. And when we push back these two, yeah, that's a big improvement. Surely that's one of the main things I'm going to be using right now, just to test it out and see how it behaves, because these four sliders are now very helpful. They really make it easy for you to control your image and get some of the information you might have lost at the moment back. So that's very good. Let's just go down here to one of these images and try to do something else. I brought this image in for once again to test out the highlights and the shadows slider. Let's see what we can do right here. We have some highlights right here, not too much. This is a very contrasty image. I like to keep it like that, but let's see what we can do if we just push it up. Wow, look at that. Look at that. That went from very highlight just to very soft image. Look at that. That's amazing. That's very, very good. And if we want to complement this, we try to bring some of the shadows on this side. And wow, look at that. Almost the same exposure. Well, not the same exposure, but we got a bit less difference between this side of the face and this side of the face. So that's very good. And if we want to get technical, we can even reduce the noise we get from recovering the shadows right here. There you go. The image starts to get a bit soft because it was very high right here, but that's just fine because we can always get it a bit less strong. And there's one thing else I want to try it out in this image because of a lot of the details we have up here. For example, I want to try it out and put clarity up, and wow, look at that. Look at the amount of contrast, that little thingy right there again. If we bring this back to 0, look at that. And if we put it up to, let's say, 30, as you can see, that's a big difference. Let's push it up to 90. So look at that. That's a big difference. The clarity filter is way more sensitive than it was before, but it really pumps out everything else. This is very good for you to get that HDR effect in single shots. This is very good. Last image, just to see once again what we can do with the shadows and highlights. Bring the highlights a bit down so we can get more information right there, and bring the shadows a bit up so we can have this part light up a bit more. Have some clarity up in this. Get a little more contrast, and there you go. That's very good, very good. These two sliders are amazing. They really give you a lot of information. Let's try one last thing with this image, maybe just to see how the saturation and the vibrance are working. Wow, it's working very well, just like in Lightroom 3. Vibrance going up. Yep, exactly. Look at that, very good. It's one thing I want to try out still. That is when we go here and we change the temperature of our image. See what it does. Wow, look at that. I almost went from a sunrise to a sunset with all in one option. Look at that. Let's see if I go up colder. Look at that. Look at the difference. This is the original, well, more or less. Let's bump it up to 0. And if I wanted to warm it up, look at that. Look at the difference. We have no blues whatsoever up here like we had before. And this is a very good tool for you to use when you're using flash and natural light in the same image on a portrait, for example. Sometimes you get a very warm light on this side and a very cold light on this side. So with this, you can clearly go up there and correct all those little things and keep your images balanced. Okay, so now we're going to use this image to go to the map module and see how we can tag it. I used the map module like 5 minutes ago, so it came up here. I'm just going to show you guys how it looks if my computer doesn't freeze, how it looks zoomed out. It has the world view and it just zoom in to the place you want to be. So this is powered by Google. Well, who else would do this? So okay, this is very slow. You can see the preview right here. I'm not going to zoom out much further because then I'll take a lot of time to get back here. Let's just see, I took this shot. Where did I take this shot? Around here, exactly. Yes, so what can we do right here? Click this and add GPS location to selected photos. Okay, and as you can see, a little box popped up here in your image and says photo has GPS data. So if you usually upload your photos with FX data onto some websites like Flickr, for example, it gets your FX data and it posts it in the information about the photo. So if you usually take photos and you would like to share with other people where you took it, this is a very useful little gadget for you to share that information for people to know exactly where you were when you took the photo. So you have a lot of other options right here, and I'm not going to go in depth in this right now because this is just an overview of the actual Lightroom. Let's just go here into the book module and see how it works. So basically you have options right here to have a blurb or a PDF. Well, PDF is probably the most useful one because every other program can open the PDF documents. So you have sharpening standard, high, low, the media type to glossy or matte, and you have a lot of options to change your layout of the pages with text below, more space for text on portrait. You can get 2 photos per page, for example, 3 photos, 4 photos, so you can really customize a lot of the information you get there. I don't know. Okay, sorry. So let's try and put this one image here, put this image here, this one here, and this one there. So this is kind of fun for you to use and just share your images with someone with a PDF document. I think you can add text here, add text here, exactly. So this is very useful if you have a bunch of images you want to share with someone, you want to make a pretty presentation. So this is very cool, very useful. You can do a lot of stuff right here. You still have the slideshow module. As you can see, everything is the same, no big changes. They didn't have to change anything because it was working pretty well. You still have the print and the web modules. So that is it, guys. This is your tour of Lightroom 4 with the new develop module with lots of new options, lots of new sliders for you to work out your images and make them really stand out even more. So that's it, guys. So I'm fed up of talking about Lightroom 4. Just click the links, go get it, test it out, tell me what you thought about it, and if you have any comments, any questions, anything like that, just leave them down below in the comments. And until the next video, just keep shooting, guys. Bye.